All right, very well. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of a Google Plus Hangout for our channel's Beam. I'm Victor Matthias, and today we will be looking at job creation. As you all recall, when the president was campaigning before he got elected, he made mention of creating jobs as one of his flagship programs. But I mean, it's over a year into the president's administration, and today we'll be looking at how well he has done or he is doing in terms of keeping up with that promise. That's how well he has provided those jobs or even created those jobs. But joining me to look at this, first we have Ifeolu Adebayo. He is the SA Innovation and Entrepreneurship to the Vice President. Ife, good afternoon and thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Sure, and you're calling from Abuja, that's the FCT. Well, yes. We also have Good. We also have Ikem Isi Ekwena, and he is a technical advisor, job creation. He's a technical advisor to the job creation unit, and he's calling from Lagos, Nigeria. Ikem, thanks for coming on the program.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a delight to be here.
Great. Well, we also have Moshope Olaoshebikon. He is the SA Media and ICT to the presidency. Moshope, thanks for coming on the program as well.
Thank you for having me.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Thanks for having me.
Sure, very well. All right, let me just begin with you, Ife. Let's first of all, to what extent will you say this administration or your administration has lived up to its promises now in terms of creating jobs since it got into power?
Sorry, who was that question directed at, please?
You.
Okay, what? Sorry, can you come again? I think I lost my connection.
Okay, so I was wondering to what extent this government has kept its promise of creating jobs since it got into power.
Okay, so the government has been very controlled in ensuring that they put in the right mechanisms and have the right foundation for everything that they're going to build. One of the major things that the government promised was immediate intervention to create direct jobs from government. And as you know, the last budget year was a budget that did not factor in the government's plans because it wasn't this administration's budget. But in the new budget year, the government has put in place plans to employ 500,000 people in a volunteer corps for the federal government. 300,000 of them will be teachers. There will be some who work as agric extension workers. There will be another set who will work as public health extension workers and civic education extension workers. So these are 500,000 immediate graduate jobs. Aside that, another key thing that this government has focused on, and you will remember that when Julius Berger and a few other companies visited President Muhammadu Buhari and spoke about the problem of getting the right people with the right skills to work, one of the core things he said was that we have to improve the skills of our people because one of the key ingredients of job creation is to ensure that you have the right that the human resources are equipped with the right skills. So the government has also put in place plans this year to train 75,000 build Nigeria artisans and also 25,000 young Nigerians with tech skills. So that's a total of 600,000 by direct intervention. Now, do not also forget that the government has the NDE, the Industrial Training Fund, the Nigerian Directorate of Employment. These are institutions that are doing a lot on these sides already, and the government is working with them. We are working with them from the presidency to streamline and ensure that the right training is given to Nigerians so that they have the right skills to take up the jobs available within the market. Another area, outsourcing, to ensure that we can provide the right skills for Nigerians so Nigeria can serve as a base for business process outsourcing and knowledge process outsourcing to other countries in the world, just like you see countries like India have done. So when it comes to fulfilling the government's promises on job creation, I think we've spent the last few months setting the right foundation. Now we're building on that foundation. And in the next 1 year, confident that the ripple effects of the immediate actions taken by government is going to lead to a lot of jobs. Not forgetting also that the Ministry of Agriculture is doing a lot of work, the Ministry of Works is doing a lot of work. So there will be a lot of government jobs going on that are going to recruit so many people, and there will be a knock-on effect on the job markets in the country.
All right, very well. Like you said, in the coming years, it will come to the fore how well these programs that the government is taking on will come to be. But Ikem, let me just come to you. I mean, you are a technical advisor with the Job Creation Unit, and I mean, Ife Yaolua has gone, to make mention of all this. I mean, fantastic on paper until it is executed programs that the government intends to. How do you intend to go about this? Because you're saying 500,000 people. In fact, with the summary he gave, he's saying 600,000 in different subsectors. How do you intend to go about this? How do you intend to monitor this to ensure that it's not at any point in time hijacked along the way to specifically people close to those in power? How do you?
Okay. So just to add to what Ife had said and to answer your question directly.
Sorry, I would like you to sit upright. Your head is going out of the shot.
Okay. So
yeah,
am I visible now?
Okay.
Okay. So yeah. So what I was saying is that we are at the point where we've started putting like bricks, on the foundation that Ife was speaking about. And the first expression of that is in the area of, a core program that has a name and is sort of creating buzz already out there. It's called the NPower program. Now, what the NPower does is that the NPower is government's expression of its skill acquisition aspirations and also its interventionist strategy. So just to clarify so that you understand what government's goals are, then we can work our way back to how this would work. The first thing to understand is that people need jobs. We want to, provide a country and an environment where jobs are enabled, productivity is at an all-time high and all of that. But while we have that aspiration, we also recognize that we have, unhealthy or ailing public services. So you look at our education, I mean, for years we've had millions of children that are out of school. We have inadequate health provision, health facilities. We also have a country that is becoming bereft of civic education. So our strategy is to say, all these public services, how can we use this interventionist workforce of 500,000 to get these services, working at, near optimum, and also provide stipends for the folks who are in the program. But also understanding that it's only a 2-year program. So when everyone is on stream, what they have to focus on as well is to learn skills that will make them economically viable when they exit the program. So we have a repertoire of learning opportunities within these programs that would see some of these, as we call them, teacher core volunteer members. As we see, as we progress, we'll see them going into things like, coding, programming, database management, animation, and logistics. So we are creating a repertoire of exit programs. Now, the idea is this: it's for us to understand that what's important is that people remain skilled. So if you're on a 2-year program, the long-term goal for you is that you want to have the requisite skills to perform optimally in the economy. But while you're there, you're maybe teaching in a public primary school, or you're teaching civic education or adult education, as the case may be. Now, to draw it down back to what our aspirations are. So when you see what government's view on this is, then you'll understand that for us, selection is very key, and we want to ensure that we have a process that is not only seen to be fair, reasonable, and and inclusive, but we would actually do the work to ensure that the process is fair. So what we promote, and I think in a couple of weeks, maybe before 2 weeks will elapse, we will publish the selection criteria. What you will find is that what's working topmost in the minds of how this policy is shaping is the fact that you want to keep people as close to the remotest areas that lack these public services as possible. So we don't want an urban migration effect. We don't want folks, just clinging around the urban centers. So when we say agric extension work, the farms are in the hinterland, and if government is hiring you to be on this core on this core workforce, what we expect is that we have members who are able to advise and teach farmers in the hinterland. So it's a key factor. Are these members willing to stay as remotely, as far out as possible? Are they willing to go out to the villages? Are they willing to go out to the places that are currently underserved? So that's what's going to be the major controlling factor. Then you have issues around, where people stay, government strategy. For instance, I know one of the things that the Ministry of Agriculture is already speaking to is the fact that, self-sufficiency and diversification, is caused high, in what their own policy objectives are. So what they want to do with the 100,000 agric extension workers is to also, besides having an even geographical spread, is to say for states that are taking on this challenge of creating more, producing more rice, producing more wheat, getting more of our fishery resources, onto the market and to the tables. For those ones, there would also be some sort of selection component of, that would also feed into how the selection criteria feeds out. So it's going to be a mix of, geographical spread. It's going to be a mix of, whether people are willing to go to the remote areas that are currently underserved with public services, then also government's own strategy, concerning its economic diversification, objectives, and also some of its other social investment priorities.
Okay, very well. I'll come back to you on some of the things that you made mention of, especially the time frame of the program. But just before I do that, Shokwe, let me come back to you. Let me just come to you also to, so to speak now, get your opening remarks on this discussion we're having. You are the SA Media and ICT, but then ICT is seen as one of the key drivers that will take Nigeria, to that economic El Dorado, so to speak now, because they're saying Nigeria will be one of the top 20 economies by the year 2030. We're in 2016, and ICT has been fingered as one of those key drivers that will take Nigeria to that destination. But what extent, what is the government doing now so far, in promoting ICT, in helping Nigerians to embrace the use of ICT and even help the country to get to that, that destination that Nigeria has been prophesied to get to? Shokwe, can you hear me? Okay, I think Shokwe is having issues with his internet. If let me just come back to you. Hopefully by then he must have sorted out his own internet issues. If you can hear me, Ife.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, very well. So I was talking about, you also should be able to comment on this because you're SA on innovation. Innovation also falls under ICT. not only ICT, but ICT is a key component of innovation as far as the 21st century is concerned. What is the government doing, I mean, in promoting ICT and even innovation at the moment?
So I'm here. I'm back.
Okay. Shokwe is back. I'll come back to you. Let's just hear from Shokwe. So I was saying, Shokwe, that what is the government doing in terms of promoting ICT, to help boost the economic growth of the country?
Okay, thank you very much. Interestingly, for the first time, the president will be hosting tech startups across the country. And we all know that we have guys all across the country doing amazing things. Of course, we have Jobberman. We have recently, everybody heard about Andela, that just got a seed fund from Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, these are the amazing things, some of the amazing things that Nigerians are doing, and then it's important that we receive support. They receive support from the top. That's I think I'm lost.
Wow. I think he has gone off again. But then Afolabi Mokwede joins us. He is the Senior Special Assistant on Job Creation to the President, the Vice President. But then let's just, first of all, good afternoon. Thanks for coming to the program.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. All right, so... Okay, very well. So we're just looking at job creation, the efforts of the government in creating jobs so far. I mean, since it took flight mid last year. So I was just trying to get comments from Moshakwe on what the government has done in terms of using ICT to boost, so to speak, now the economy. What can you tell us?
Okay, so is this for Moshakwe or for me?
Oh, yeah, Moshakwe seems to be falling. Okay, he's back. All right, let's just hear from him first, and then we'll come back to you. Moshakwe, please continue from. If you can start all over again, because it will be distorted. Shokwe, can you hear me?
Okay, so thank you very much. So for the first time, the president will be hosting. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, good. So for the first time, good. So for the first time, the president will be hosting startups from different parts of the country, and so at an event called the Aso Villa Demo Day, and then this will be happening July 28th in Abuja, and at that event we hope to have the best startups from different parts of the country exhibit, showcase some of the amazing things they are doing. And if these startups can get the opportunity to extend some of their innovative ideas into government. Right now, government is talking about ease of doing business and a whole lot of other stuff. And our local guys, the guys on ground, can actually do a whole lot to solve some of these problems that the government is facing. And the interesting thing again is it's also an opportunity for investors from guys, like recently you heard about the investment by Mark Zuckerberg in Andela, which is the homegrown technology company training locals on coding. So these are the things we're expecting after the demo day, and interestingly, this is the first time that we're having that kind of support from the presidency.
All right. So if I may just press further, what happens after these tech enthusiasts when they showcase their ideas, their works? What happens next? Are they just going to showcase it and that's all?
No. So the interesting thing is, so the event in Abuja is like a meet-up event where we'll be linking up investors, we'll be linking up leaders in the public sector to startups. right? So what we expect is for certain investors to pick ideas or startups that they're interested in at the demo day on July 28th in Abuja. And then government is also interested in local content. So it's also an opportunity for leaders in the public sector, ministers and all, to look at solutions that are applicable in government and for adoption, of course. And then, of course, it opens up, it's a window that opens up to more opportunities for the startups. Moving on. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, very well. I'll come back to you in just a moment. Let me hear from Afolabi. Afolabi, the position your phone was earlier on seems to be better. If you can, yeah, take it that way. Yeah, this makes a lot more sense. So let me even just get a sense of what you guys have been doing, because you are SSA on job creation. And just before you came, there was a bit of a background as to, you know, the NPower program and how many people it intends to bring on board. But the technicalities is also something that might give some people some worry. But again, just put us through this program and how you intend to carry it out. Yeah, go ahead. I think I can hear you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me on board, and apologies for coming in, for joining in late.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I think let me take up first from Shokwe's last statement. He used the word local content, and clearly another word that we know has also been often used is the diversification of the economy. And these two are critical to us as a country right now. Obviously, we need to begin to look away from oil, as we know, as an economy. And so technology then becomes one of those critical sectors that we need to leapfrog this economy from the oil dependency. And so it's not, it's therefore not just coincidental. It's very strategic, and it's a deliberate strategy for us from the side of government in looking into how we could actually use technology as an enabler of sorts, and also technology to unlock or solve challenges, to profile solutions to challenges that we face as a country, as a people, and as a nation. And so just like you've mentioned, so Shokwe has spoken to the Aso Villa Day, which is that one event that we want to use as a catalyst to really showcase technology as this solution provider for some of our problems. So we're very eager, looking forward to some of the ideas that will be picked, as you know, on Thursday, and also in a few other locations in Abuja and in Port Harcourt, for the regional pitches, which will then culminate to the unveiling in Abuja on July 28th, being hosted by no other person but the president himself. But so now speaking, so that's one of it. The other bit of it is the NPower. Now, a government that is very heavy on technology, very heavy on innovation, we cannot, we obviously have to lead the way. And that's the reason why what we're looking to do with the direct promise of government for job creation, that's not the only delivery by which jobs will be created in the economy. There are a lot more sectoral approaches and a lot more work that the ministries are doing in their line duty to create a lot more jobs. Like you would know, since you're in the media, there's a lot of jobs now being created in the construction phase because of the rollback to sites, the massive rollback to site that the Minister of Power Works and Housing is engaging on. But coming to what we want to do with this direct job creation with NPower is the reason why we've also now gone to use technology as the main portal by which we would receive applications, by the process which would also the beneficiaries or the applicants will also undergo their testing, and also the process by which we would select across beneficiaries across the country for this program. So let me put up front first, I know that, yes, and I would allow my other colleagues to speak on this since you had already started the conversation. So yes, we know that since we rolled out exactly a week ago now, there have been a few challenges here and there, connectivity issues here and there. We have worked tirelessly around the clock to ensure full optimization of user experience from our end, and I can assure Nigerians and everyone watching once this goes live that from tomorrow, the user experience will be significantly improved to ensure that no one is disenfranchised in terms of registering. So that's on one hand. Also, on the other hand, we are working with a lot of our food soldiers across the country to ensure that people are mobilized, to go to either the business centers nearby, or with some of the optimization we've done is such that it would also allow you, even if you're using your data, you have actually a much more simpler form to fill, and the speed. I'm also told we've worked greatly on our speed, so which means also you'll be able to fill the forms or go through the process quicker, thereby saving on your data, because I know data is key and data is gold. So that's what it is that we've done with Empower, and the role of technology working with us on that.
All right, very well. I'll come back to you, but I'll come back to you in a minute. Let me just come to Ife. While you were making your opening statement, you made mention of having these people learn technology skills. But just a minute ago, Afolabi was talking about data and connectivity issues, in the country. As it is now, that seems to be a major problem. The internet seems to be a major problem. Internet connectivity, digital literacy, and broadband adoption seems to be at its lowest at the moment in the country. But what is the government doing? How would you come in? Because if this program will be powered by technology, from what you said, these people would have technology skills. How do you intend to bridge that gap between those who want to learn these skills but don't have the opportunity because of lack of a proper technological ecosystem? If you can hear me, if that's
okay. So what government is doing is yes, I can hear you.
Go ahead.
We're not running a government-only show. So the government is working with the private sector and relevant stakeholders to ensure that there is a bridge. Broadband penetration, PC penetration, mobile penetration, all these are things that the government cannot fix. Members will each have devices, will each have hardware devices, so that automatically increases the device penetration for Nigeria. So what we're doing is we're working with the
All right. I think.
And also we also and also.
All right. If you can hear me,
the devices are going to be connected on Qtable. Then the computers improve their text. But
if you can, all right. So your internet kind of dropped for a while, so we couldn't really hear you. So if you can come again, yeah.
Okay. So I said government is not working as a silo now. Government is working with relevant stakeholders, both within and outside government, to ensure that there's a key things that we're looking at is using this as an opportunity, as a springboard to increase the device penetration. When I'm talking of device, I'm talking of both PC penetration, tab penetration, and mobile penetration, and also to improve access to broadband. So we're a country that are doing a lot in the penetration within the country. So we're working with relevant and important people that have been successful in this regard to ensure that each of the each participant in the volunteer corps has a device. Each of those devices are connected. So this increases the hardware, the device, and the broadband penetration within the country, because then you have 500,000 people who now have connection. That aside, on the policy side, we're working with NITDA the National Information Technology Development Agency and with the Ministry of Communications, of course, to improve and increase the broadband penetration within the country. One of the things we're looking at is using government policies to drive some of these changes. Because what you realize is the private sector responds to government policy. So if government has specific policy that improves of connection within universities, improves the ability of connections within specific industries, the private sector responds to that and invests a lot more. So there are specific areas which I don't want to go into the details, but there are specific areas of policy that we're looking at that will ensure that we drive the right connector into this.
All right. So you made mention. Let me just hold you back for a bit. You made mention of hardware devices that will be distributed to those involved. How will that be acquired? What's the acquisition strategy, or what's the acquisition plan for these hardware?
We're working with reputable hardware manufacturers, worldwide, international reputable hardware manufacturers, to ensure that we get the right, ensure that we're able to deal with the logistics of distribution, and to ensure also that we have the right numbers of servers as repair technicians. So that's why you see part of the plan and part of the training plan for the 25,000 tech skills acquisition program is that there are about 10,000 of them that will be trained as hardware technicians. That aside, whoever we end up working with as a device supplier will also be required to do some addition. We're ensuring that end is well suited, well tied up, and we're working with. I don't want to be specific, but we're working with international organizations who have a strong footprint in the country, who can also help our local ecosystem, and to ensure that to ensure that we get the right quality of devices that can serve the right purpose for the tech companies.
All right, very well. Thank you, Adebayo. Ikem, let me come to you. While you were making also your opening statement, you made mention of the time frame that's not looking at the end power. You talked about the time frame that people who come on board will have to spend during the program. So, and you made mention, you said 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So some people are, concerns have been raised that what happens after 2 years, especially for those who would be enrolled in the teaching scheme. Some people are wondering what happens if you do that for 2 years and you get the basic salary. What happens next?
Okay. Thank you for your question. I would like to first start by saying that the application process is on now. It's on npower.gov.ng. You can go in, understand what the programs are, and select one, apply for one, and subsequently there will be selection, and we'll come to the numbers that we have publicized. So to answer your question directly, and just to say that this application process will be on up until at least July 25th. So we're looking at July 25th as the cutoff date. I don't know if there'll be any extensions, but we know that July 25th is the date that this process will come to close. Okay. Having said that, I'll just to address your question. Okay, so the way to look at this thing again is for us to look at it that we have social investment. We have social investment aspirations. The government obviously has it. It's formed a bulwark of their campaign promises. So just looking at the link is really to say we want to skill people. We want people to be skilled. We want our young graduates and undergraduates to have relevant skills to function domestically and internationally. That's the real objective. But we'll say, okay, for the 500,000, while you are at it, provide a public service. teach in primary schools, promote public health to pregnant women, vulnerable groups, children, and just the nature of public health crisis that we have every now and then in our country, help to promote hygiene and other practices that will minimize the occurrence of public health issues. Look at our agric agenda. We have a vast agricultural agenda. Now, the only way we can achieve it is to bring science, research, best practices to the farmers. Every farmer, a smallholder farmer who's somewhere in Jigawa, who's somewhere in Oyo State, who's somewhere in Ebonyi, trying to plant rice, should know what the best seed practice is, should know what fertilizer, what amount, what quantity, and what specific type will help his rice, should know exactly how much water his farm needs, should know the particular diameter it should plant within. So these are things that we are trying to bring, to the farms as well. So you would see that these things themselves, they consist of skills. So what's going to happen after 2 years is that, for instance, I can tell you that in our strategy, we are going to now have a logical formation of cooperatives. So these are cooperatives that are not bound by politics, that says when government wants to give subsidized fertilizer to farmers, people bunch themselves or put themselves onto a list, and the subsidies are unevenly distributed or something. This is to say, hello. So this is to say that for everyone who has land in this area, we can come together, form a cooperative, and we're able to negotiate our inputs in bulk. So you would have some of these extension advisors who we are hiring and paying now, who would naturally graduate to that economic function. In the same manner, you would have people who would possibly move on to other economic aspects of production. So we speak about technology, we speak about digital content production, we speak about logistics, project management. Now, all this will be exit courses. The idea is that within 1 year, some people would leave the program. And that's just a fact, because people might get job opportunities that maybe pay more than the stipends that are available now on stream. That's one possibility. The other is that everyone would have an exit skill. So you would have people who would naturally become entrepreneurs, can start their own businesses remotely. They can serve as aggregators of produce. They can serve as collectors of produce. They can link, trade between urban and rural areas. So that's what we're trying to build here. So I envisage what we contemplate with this sort of program is that we're unleashing entrepreneurship. We're unleashing a bunch of guys who will be employable. Everyone wants, so our schooling system does not really prepare people for the world of work. So people just graduate knowing theory. But what we are doing with this program is that we are teaching them employability skills. People would have the basic communication skills, the basic logical thinking, critical thinking skills that will help them thrive, at work. So I think we shouldn't look at it. The stipends are temporary, something to keep body and soul together while you're learning. So it's really a learning program. People will keep learning. They will keep learning exit skills. You need to know where and be responsible for how you learn. To say, I want to, be a logistics professional. I want to go practice. I want to be a database manager. So we know where the jobs exist, and we are providing those skills in modular form for people to be able to acquire those skills.
All right, very well. Just to borrow from the adage that says, you learn every day.
Yeah, sure.
Perhaps, yeah, that's what. All right, well, let me come back to Mr. Gimokwede, who, has put on some probably being scared of being sued or for indecent exposure on television. He had to put on a shirt. But let me just ask, I mean, because one word has resonated all throughout this hangout, and it has been graduate, graduate, graduate. What is happening? What about those who are yet to graduate from school? What is the plan? What plans do you guys have for them?
Okay, so let's talk about, so for employment first, in Nigeria, you need to first be, number one, you need to be above 18 to be legally employed. That's one. And so the program is not just only for graduates. So we've got there are two clear tracks. The graduate conversion, which is where you have the 500,000, that's where you have the various teacher corps paid volunteers that he came and taken the time to explain some minutes ago. And then you've got the non-graduate track, which is the where you have the creative. So a lot of the technological skills that Ife talked about earlier for 25,000, those are actually non-graduates. You don't have to be a graduate to apply for that, and you really can also still be a graduate to apply for that. But the minimum qualification is your post-secondary school, your secondary school education, and that's because a lot of people who have done great things, Steve Jobs and co, they're not university graduates or tertiary education graduates. So that's why that program. And then, of course, we then have the vocational skills, which would take people across the various trades from tiling, plumbing, block laying, hospitality, catering, and what have you. You've got the vocational skills, which amounts to about 75,000 Nigerians, and that's the Empower Build. So clearly we've got plans for both not only graduates but also for non-graduates. Now, for those who are in school, they legally can't come into the employment. Those who are in school, we have another program for them, which is the bursary. Because you can be above 18 and you are in school. But in unemployment statistics, we're dealing with those who are actually in the labor market already, trying to even mitigate that number, talk less of those who will join them. So we've got, and so that's why we have a plan called the STEM bursary, STEM e-bursary, which is to stimulate interest in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and so what that does really is what you have with that is to help those who are now in school. So the whole essence of that is a bursary award for those who are in secondary school, the jam bites, so to speak, and assist them with that incentive to stimulate their desire, appetite to go learn science, technology, engineering, maths, and education. Education is very important because right now we have a situation where the reason for failing education is because of low quality inputs. And when you look at the way education has typically worked in our climes, it's those who couldn't get into law or medicine or the course of their choice that we tend to say go to education. And so they are primarily frustrated people in that area who, so we want to stimulate a natural desire for people, a passion for people to go into education. So you get your best 11 going into education, and we can then be assured of the output of such process. So for those who are in school, the STEM bursary program, STEM e-bursary program is for them. And for those who are out of school, whether you're a graduate, you go through the various teacher corps programs. And if you are a non-graduate, you go through the technology, creative, and vocational route. Yeah.
All right, very well. So just for production purposes, it will be unprofessional for me to show you wearing a T-shirt first and then next. So I would just urge you to please come again, like your first submission on the question I asked you. Yeah, I would love you to just come run over that again.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I thank you for having me and on this show, and the whole essence of technology for us as a key focus of government. It's again to strengthen our narrative around diversifying the economy away from oil dependency. And if we are therefore going to do that, we must look very critically into local content. We must look at strategies that strengthen our local content. We must look at strategies that strengthen the ecosystem, particularly the technology ecosystem, and really putting technology in the place where it ought to be. And what is that? We know that economies that have thrived are economies that have used technology as that leapfrog, really as an enabler and as a multiplier of solutions, solution provider across sectors. And that's really what technology is for us. And the ASO Villa Demo Day that my other colleagues have spoken about is really one of those catalytic events to again to bring the emblem of the highest organ of government, which is the president, the vice president, the various ministers in the FECs and the key actors to endorsing this strategy. Like you already know, what we'll be doing there is to it's really again to stimulate local thinking, to see what, most times government has stayed inwards and tried to design something for outside, forgetting that the critical stakeholders, which is we Nigerians, that outside of government, there are a lot of solutions that are locked in there, and we must look for processes that unlock, those solutions. And that's what the Villa Demo Day is about, starting with the various, it started a while back with the entries through the portal. We've gotten significantly over 2,300 entries right now. Those entries are going through various stages of processing as we speak, and we will showcase the first 100 in the Lagos Regional one this week on Thursday, the 23rd, and then we'll move on to Port Harcourt, and then also move on to Abuja in regional pitches. The culmination of that is the unveiling on July 28th in Abuja in the presidency, with the Commander-in-Chief himself, the President and Commander-in-Chief himself being the chief host. And so that's really our plan, in using technology to unlock the job creation efforts of government. And in addition to all that we're also doing with some of our direct government interventions with Empower, has also been enumerated. We're also looking at sector focus initiatives in agri, in retail, in solid minerals, in construction, in off-grid power, renewable energy. But you see, one common thread across all these sectors, as you begin to look at it, is really the role of technology, and how we can use technology to create innovative solutions across board. And all of these are multiplier effects for job creation. And that's why the ASO Villa Demo Day and all that we'll do, engaging with stakeholders like you in the IT space, are very critical. Yeah.
All right, very well. We're running out of time, but Mushakwa, let me just come back to you before we wrap up this conversation. You made mention of how the government is going to use technology, with those who are coming to showcase what they've been doing. So, but I mean, I'm just wondering, what about those that are already in the space that have done?
Okay, that's very interesting.
With technology, what support is the government giving them?
Okay, so interesting. So the demo day in Abuja is not only about the startups. So of course, there are different levels there are different stages of these startup companies, and so we're having about 30 startups, right, at the early stage in Abuja for the demo, and we have about 20 that are already at the other stages. We're hoping to send invitation to the likes of the companies, the Intersway, Jobberman. There are different stages to show also to the president and the entire world that, these are the things that have been going on in Nigeria. So like I also rightly said before, they are going to be exhibiting some of their ideas, and we expect that the people in the public sector, that the leaders in the public sector, local solutions and see which of them is good to adopt. You know.
All right, very well, but then that's where we have to wrap this conversation at the moment. Afolabi Mokwede, you joined us. You joined us from London, that's United Kingdom. Thanks for coming to the program. Ifeoluwa Adebayo joins us. He joined us from Abuja, that's Nigeria's federal capital city. Ikem, okay, now Isi Ekwena. I hope I got that right.
Yeah, you tried.
All right, very well. You joined us from Lagos, which is also a capital.
Not exactly. It's pronounced Isi Ekwena.
Isi Ekwena. All right, very well. I'll make sure I do that henceforth. You join us
next time. Yeah.
Yeah, from you are joining us from Nigeria's commercial capital, as well as Moshope Olaoshebikon. He's also joining us from Nigeria's commercial capital. Thanks once again for this very interesting, as well as a learning conversation. I'm very pleased that we had this conversation today, and we'll track you guys and see how far you guys will achieve all that you have said and promised on the program today. But then, once again, it is a Google Plus Hangout, and it is for a Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias.
Yeah.